Similar to the untold story of Leroy from the map Buried, the story of the Ghost Lady has never actually been revealed. Now, unlike the story of Leroy, we actually know for a fact who Leroy is, and that his real name is actually Arthur. And if you did not see my previous video about Leroy, then feel free to check out that video, as there will be a link in the description below. Now, unfortunately, the information we have on the Ghost Lady is little to none, as she is never mentioned in the official Zombies Chronicles timeline. However, we can theorize on who she may be and why she is actually here. Let's begin with her appearance. She is wearing an all-black dress with a veil covering parts of her face. Honestly, this looks like a dress that a woman would wear to funerals in the 1800s, and perhaps they wore this dress when they were buried as well. So I think she is wearing this attire because she was buried in it. Now let's move on to her possible identity. Many people believe that her real name is Sarah Faraday, and this will raise some questions because there is no reference to that name anywhere on the map, but I say this because throughout the house are portraits of Michael Faraday, who, according to my Wikipedia research, was an English scientist who contributed to the study of electromagnetism and electrochemistry. His main discoveries include the principles of underlying electromagnetic induction and diamagnetism. Now granted, maybe this isn't her husband, and she was actually just a huge fangirl of the guy like 12-year-old girls are to Jake Paul.
The Jake Paulers are the strongest army out there. Yeah.
But I find that highly unlikely, and I mean, women weren't attracted to scientists in the 1800s like teens are now to internet celebs, right? Now, on a side note, some people believe that the paralyzer was actually invented by Michael Faraday because he was a scientist in the field of electrochemistry. However, according to Mystery Machine X, who knows the storyline very well and is also someone who I have worked with on projects in the past, believes that Michael Faraday did not actually invent the paralyzer, and that Maxis did because it uses ethereal energy, which is also known as spiritual energy, and that Maxis states that he was learning about ethereal energy. And Mystery Machine also believes that Maxis succeeded in his studies in the field of ethereal energy, thus creating the paralyzer. Now, before I delve into Mystery Machine's theory even more, I want to preface that he stated this back in 2013 when the map was somewhat new, so I don't know if he still believes this theory, but nonetheless it is interesting and I do want to mention it. He theorized that Maxis created the paralyzer as a device to bring Samantha, his daughter, back to him. And since she did not know that she was trapped in the MPD device on the moon at the time, he assumed she was just dead, so he was going to use this device to bring her back to life. Unfortunately for Maxis, the device was not used according to plan, because it revived Sarah Faraday instead of Samantha, and it returned her in a ghostly form, which was not the human form Maxis intended, and this is why the ghost emits the same purple smoke as the paralyzer. Now, why did Maxis use the device on Sarah? It could be that Maxis accidentally revived Sarah, but it also makes more sense that they tested the paralyzer on her first to see if it worked, and it did. Well, sorta. Now let's return to Sarah and continue her story. Her and Michael married in 1821, and they had no children, and Michael passed away in 1867, and Sarah in 1879. A question that people have with this theory is that they both lived in England, but the map Buried takes place underground in the country of Angola in southern Africa. Luckily, there is a simple answer to this question, and it's simply time travel, because the western town on this map is from 1800s America, which means that it was teleported to Angola. And if we refer to the quote I used in the Leroy video, this will explain it all quite nicely. The Earth fracturing triggers further temporal rifts, teleporting an 1800s American western town underneath a mining facility in Angola. From this quote, you can pretty much see that nothing on this map really belongs here because it was all teleported here from across the world after Maxis sent the rockets from the moon to destroy the Earth. Now let's get into some real questions that will poke holes in this theory. Outside the church there are two graves, and one of the graves says the name Wilfred, and that he died in October of 1887. Unfortunately, this is not the date that Michael Faraday died, as Michael Faraday died in August of 1867. So unfortunately we can't connect the two. Now again, we don't know who Wilfred is, and it has never been revealed, and probably never will, as the map Buried was barely mentioned in the Zombies Chronicles. But perhaps Wilfred is actually the husband of the Ghost Lady, and maybe he passed away and was buried here, and then eventually the Ghost Lady as well passed away. But for some reason, she still haunts the house. However, the evidence that this is actually Sarah Faraday is pretty convincing due to all the portraits of Michael Faraday in the house. Now, I actually wonder why the Ghost Lady looks so young, because Sarah Faraday lived from 1800 to 1879 and definitely did not die at a young age. Now perhaps in her ghostly state, she has taken on a younger form of herself, but nonetheless this does raise a legitimate question. And the final question that could raise concern is that some people call her Lucy because of the story Lucy the Ghost. But there is no evidence to suggest that she is specifically Lucy the Ghost and not any one of the hundreds of other popular ghosts in histories, and because of this I find it very unlikely. The final thing I want to go over in this video is that the ghost lady definitely lived in this house prior to her death, because she repeatedly states that she is the lady of the house and that the house holds many secrets, and she also says a lot of other things, and I will play you some of those clips now.
You will stay forever. You do not belong here. I am the lady of the house. Can you feel my presence? Is a shadow, but it's for glory. This house holds many secrets. Can you feel my presence? Is a shadow, but it's for glory. This house holds many secrets.
So these quotes are rather interesting, and while they don't really reveal anything about who she is specifically, it seems that she was the wife of whoever owned this house, or at the very least, maybe she was like a maid or something. But I believe she is actually Sarah Faraday, the wife of Michael Faraday, and they both lived in this house together. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed this video about who the ghost lady is in the map Buried. Of course, this video had a lot of theories in it, and a lot of other stories as well. But unfortunately, we know absolutely nothing about the ghost lady, as she was not mentioned in the Zombie Chronicles timeline that was revealed by Treyarch at all. So we really have no information on her other than what we can gather from theories. But nonetheless, these are interesting theories, and they can hint to the bigger picture of who Sarah Faraday actually is. So anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you've not done so already, and I'll see you in the next video.